In a universe woven from mystery, where galaxies breathe and atoms dream, you arrived without asking, without permission, without preparation. One moment nothing, the next a consciousness dropped into flesh, blinking at existence like a newborn flame flickering inside an endless dark. And from the very first breath, something ancient stirred inside you. Not a thought, not a name, a feeling, subtle yet overwhelming. There is something more. I am here for something. You couldn't articulate it then, but you felt it. An invisible thread pulling you toward meaning, toward belonging, toward a sense that love, connection, and recognition were not luxuries, but necessities woven into the fabric of your soul. And yet, somewhere between your first breath and this moment, you forgot, not entirely, not permanently, but enough to feel that ache, the silent one that hums beneath every heartbeat, whispering that something is missing, something lost, something you keep searching for but cannot name. We humans, strange, fragile beings drifting through infinity on this trembling blue world, pretend to be rational. We build systems, cities, identities, entire civilizations as if certainty can protect us from the truth that reality is a riddle. And we are temporary participants in a cosmic hallucination. But beneath every invention, every ambition, every dream, what are we chasing? Love, belonging, to be held in another's awareness as real, as worthy, as seen. We long not merely to exist, but to be recognized in our existence. Love is not an emotion, it is proof that we are not alone in the universe, proof that we matter, proof that within this infinite swirl of cosmic dust, someone sees us, someone chooses us, someone says, you are not just a flicker in time, you are here, and I feel you. But here is the human tragedy. We take the most natural, sacred impulse and turn it into a transaction. We don't seek love, we negotiate it. From childhood, we are trained in the subtle economy of approval. Be quiet, be good, be useful, be impressive. Do not disturb the emotional ecosystem of others. Smile even when you are hurting. Achieve, advance, excel, and maybe, just maybe, you will earn affection. And the child learns quickly. Love has conditions. Existence must be justified. Silence becomes safety. Authenticity becomes dangerous. And we grow into adults who perform their identity instead of inhabiting it. We become actors in a drama we never auditioned for, wearing masks so convincing we forget the face beneath. We chase applause instead of connection. We fear disappointment more than isolation, and we confuse validation for love, attention for intimacy, and possession for belonging. How many smiles were rehearsed before delivered? How many times have you shrunk yourself so someone else could remain comfortable? How many times have you pretended not to need what your soul was starving for? We live in crowded rooms and die of loneliness, not because love is absent, but because authenticity is. We are terrified to be seen fully, our flaws, our doubts, our longing, our fear, our fragile humanity, and so we build relationships like scaffolding, structured, conditional, dependent on performance. Be who I need you to be and I will care. Fail to maintain the role and affection will vanish like mist under heat. This is not cruelty. It is unconsciousness, generations teaching generations that love must be earned, that being enough requires proving it first. But real love, the kind that nourishes, expands, liberates, cannot be bargained for. Real love does not say perform and I will stay. It says be and I will witness you. It does not hunger for perfection. It hungers for truth. It is not a reward. It is recognition. But to meet such love, you must first return to yourself. And that journey is terrifying, because to reclaim your true self, you must allow the mask to fall. The identity you polished for others must dissolve. You must confront the silent emptiness you've been avoiding with distractions, noise, ambition, and approval seeking. Sit in your own presence without performance. Do you know how rare that is? How radical? to exist without justification, without achievement, without the armor of identity, and simply be here, breathing, aware enough. At first it feels like falling into a void. Who are you without someone else's expectations holding the edges of your shape? Who are you when you stop performing worthiness and start embodying existence? Beneath the noise of thought, beneath the narrative of self, there is a stillness waiting, a quiet presence observing everything. That presence is consciousness itself, the witnessing awareness untouched by identity, untouched by performance, untouched by history. In that silence, a truth emerges, not intellectual but experiential. You were always enough. For accomplishment, before approval, before identity solidified around memory. You were worthy the moment existence chose you. The universe does not create mistakes. Life does not breathe into accidents. The cosmos has no interest in mediocrity. It births stars and minds and consciousness capable of reflecting itself. You are not here to earn love. You are here to remember that you are love in human form, temporarily forgetting itself to rediscover what it already knew. The hunger you feel is not for another person. It is for a reunion with your own soul. And once you taste that internal recognition, once you stand in the presence of your own being without shrinking, without apologizing, without performing, something astonishing happens. You stop begging for scraps of affection from others. You stop trading authenticity for acceptance. You stop searching for external proof of internal worth. Love does not come as something you pursue. It becomes something that radiates from you, and ironically, only then does it find you. Not as dependency, but as resonance. Two beings who do not complete each other, but recognize each other. Not halves seeking wholeness, but wholes meeting in shared presence. But you cannot reach that place while clinging to masks. You cannot arrive there through performance. You must surrender the idea that you are incomplete, unfinished, unworthy. You must dare to be seen. Not the curated you, but the true you, the raw you, the imperfect, miraculous human who bleeds and hopes and trembles and dreams. And when you do, love will not enter your life like a reward. It will emerge from within you like memory returning. You were never unlovable. You were only taught to doubt your own radiance. And doubt, repeated long enough, becomes identity. But identity is not truth. Identity is only habit. The truth is older than the story you tell about yourself. You are not the roles you play. You are not the expectations you chase. You are not the mask that smiles while the heart aches quietly beneath. You are the awareness behind it all. The witness, the presence, the mystery observing itself through human eyes. And when that first veil falls, something unexpected begins to happen. You do not merely understand life differently. You feel it differently. There is a sensitivity that awakens, a strange tenderness towards existence. Suddenly the breeze does not simply pass through the air. It speaks. The sky does not merely sit above you. It watches. Reality becomes participatory, intimate, alive. Most people live as spectators, distant from their own experience, hidden behind thought and habit. But when awareness awakens, the distance collapses. Life is no longer out there. It is here, pressing against the inner walls of your being, asking to be touched, asking to be noticed. This is why awakening feels overwhelming at first. You are meeting reality without filters, without anesthesia. And yet something deeper begins to whisper, you were always meant for this. You were never designed to live asleep, numb, and obedient. You were born to sense, to see, to remember. The universe did not give you consciousness as a burden. It gave it as an invitation. The invitation is simple. Participate fully, become what you are. Stop pretending to be small. But this realization does not arrive gently. It arrives like a quiet storm inside the soul. It rearranges priorities. What once seemed important, validation, image, approval, competition, begins to dissolve. You notice how often you used to shapeshift for others, performing versions of yourself to fit expectations. That is the disease of the modern mind. We live for perception rather than truth. We seek to be seen instead of known. We chase importance instead of authenticity. And then something inside you rebels. You no longer want a life that looks successful. You want a life that feels real. That's where the transformation truly begins, because the moment you choose authenticity over approval, the world around you changes. Not because the world has altered, but because you are no longer negotiating your existence. Of course, the ego resists. It does not want to die. It wants to command the awakening. It tries to spiritualize itself. It says, look how enlightened I am. Look how awakened I am. But awakening has nothing to do with spiritual ego. True awareness is not a crown you wear. It is the moment you realize there is no one to wear it. And then a subtle shift occurs. You start to understand freedom, not the freedom sold to you by society, the freedom of choice, possession, movement, but the real freedom. Freedom from yourself, freedom from your own narratives, freedom from the compulsion to control, freedom from the illusion that you must constantly defend an identity. You realize most suffering comes from resisting what is, from trying to force life to obey your expectations. Letting go is not weakness. It is supreme strength. Surrender is not giving up. It is joining the rhythm of existence instead of fighting it. And gradually you begin to see the hidden machinery behind human life. You watch people rushing, worrying, chasing, defending illusions with fierce loyalty. You see fear posing as ambition, insecurity hiding beneath arrogance, loneliness masked by noise, and you do not judge. You understand. You were there once too. You wore those layers. Every unconscious being is not wrong. They are simply sleeping. That is when compassion is born. Not pity, not superiority, but quiet compassion. You do not wake others by force. You simply remain awake. Your presence becomes a mirror. Some will soften around you, some will recoil. The awakened mind disturbs comfort, because comfort is often built on delusion, and that is okay. Awakening is not a mass event. It happens one soul at a time, one moment of courage after another. But understand this, awakening is not just expansion. It is also confrontation. You will meet parts of yourself you avoided for years. The frightened child, the wounded self, the angry shadow, the grief you buried so deep that even time couldn't dissolve it. Awareness brings light, yes, but light shows everything, including what you tried not to see. Do not run from it. Do not suppress it. Do not numb it. Pain does not come to punish. It comes to free. The emotions you fear are not enemies, they are doorways. Behind sadness is clarity, behind fear is power, behind anger is unspoken truth. Behind loneliness is the path to self-love. Everything you avoid grows stronger. Everything you face dissolves. And then one quiet morning, maybe while looking out a window, maybe while breathing deeply, maybe while doing nothing at all, it hits you. You don't need to become anything. You only need to stop pretending. You were never incomplete. You were never broken. You were only layered with expectations, with identities, with noise handed to you by a world terrified of silence. Silence is where truth hides. Silence is the womb of existence. But humans fear silence because silence forces them to meet themselves. Once you no longer fear yourself, you no longer fear life. And once you no longer fear life, life opens. You begin to trust, not blindly, but intuitively. You begin to feel guided. Coincidences stop feeling random. They feel orchestrated. Encounters feel purposeful. Timing begins to make sense. You notice how life responds when you stop resisting it. You notice how doors appear when you stop forcing them. What you used to call luck begins to look like alignment. People think awakening is about answers. But awakening is about intimacy with the unknown. Certainty collapses, yes, but in its place arises something richer. Clarity without rigidity, awareness without arrogance, understanding without conclusion. You are not here to solve the universe. You are here to experience it. You are not here to conquer reality. You are here to dance with it. That is the secret no one tells you. Awakening is not escape. It is immersion. You do not transcend life by floating above it. You transcend life by entering it completely. And once you taste this truth, the world loses its grip on you. Not because you withdraw from it, but because you finally belong to yourself. You walk differently. You breathe differently. You see differently. Not louder, quieter, not heavier, lighter. You carry nothing, yet you feel full. You try to control nothing, yet everything aligns. And slowly, without you even noticing, you become a mystery to the world. A question mark in human form, a presence that cannot be categorized. People will ask who you are becoming, but the truth is you are not becoming anything. You are unbecoming everything that wasn't you. And what remains is not a new identity, it is freedom. And when the layers fall away and you stand there as nothing but awareness itself, a strange kind of courage rises within you. Not the courage to fight the world, but the courage to face yourself without hiding. That is the rarest courage on earth. Most people would rather battle nations, climb mountains, or conquer markets than sit alone in silence and confront the truth of who they are. But you are walking into that silence willingly. You are letting the masks drop one by one until there is nothing left to defend, nothing left to prove, nothing left to protect. And in that nakedness, something extraordinary awakens. Self-honesty, not the polite honesty of society, the raw honesty of the soul. The honesty that says, I was afraid, I was pretending, I was lost in myself. I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be loved so badly that I forgot I already am. When you admit these truths to yourself, they dissolve. Because illusions are like shadows. They cannot survive direct light. The moment you stop lying to yourself, you stop being controlled by unconscious forces. You begin to navigate life from clarity rather than fear. And with clarity comes a new strength. A strength that does not roar or demand attention, but one that simply is a silent strength, a presence that does not need defense. You stop trying to dominate life, and instead you begin to trust it. This trust is not naive optimism. It is born from seeing reality without filters. You see chaos and beauty, loss and birth, endings and beginnings, and you realize none of it is a mistake. Existence is not random. It is rhythmic, intelligent, self-organizing, self-evolving. You stop begging life to be different, and you start listening to what life is asking from you, because the awakened soul no longer asks, what can I take from life? It asks, what is life trying to become through me? Then gradually the sense of separation collapses. You notice how your thoughts ripple outward, how your presence influences environments, how your emotional state shifts the field around you. You begin to feel the interconnectedness of all things, not as a philosophy, but as a lived experience. People look like separate bodies, but you begin to feel them as extensions of the same consciousness wearing different faces. You look at a stranger and you don't see a stranger. You see another expression of yourself, another story playing in the grand theater of existence. And once you truly feel this, judgment begins to fade. Why judge another when you recognize them as you? Why resent them when their flaws reveal your own learning? Compassion becomes your natural state, not forced, not performative, not spiritual kindness, but genuine recognition. Every soul is finding its way through a labyrinth of its own making, yet do not confuse compassion with softness. Awakening brings gentleness, yes, but it also brings immense fire. You stop tolerating illusions, manipulation, self-betrayal. You stop participating in conversations that shrink your spirit. You stop entertaining relationships built on unconscious need. Your boundaries sharpen, not from fear, but from love. Love for your energy, love for truth, love for the sacredness of consciousness moving through you. And as your energy purifies, something astonishing begins to happen. Your reality rearranges itself around your level of awareness. Opportunities that once felt impossible appear effortlessly. People who resonate on your frequency enter your life as if summoned. Old environments that once defined you fall away. Not because you push them away, but because they no longer match the vibration you carry. This is the quiet magic of awakening. The universe aligns with your inner state. Not because you force it, but because what you are inside becomes undeniable. Life reflects you. It always has. You just see it clearly now. And in that clarity, you realize something extraordinary. You were never chasing success. You were chasing connection with your own essence. You were never searching for meaning. You were peeling away everything that blocked your natural sense of meaning. You were never seeking love. You were remembering that love is your default state when fear dissolves. The world may call it enlightenment, awakening, transcendence, but you feel it as something much simpler, coming home to yourself. Yet even here, the journey does not end. Enlightenment is not retirement from existence. It is deeper participation. You don't suddenly float above life untouched. You feel life more intensely. Joy with more depth, grief with more openness, fear with more curiosity, love with more vulnerability. You don't run from emotions. You allow them. Every feeling becomes a teacher, not a threat. Emotion becomes energy moving through you, not identity controlling you. You no longer cling to moments. You experience them fully and let them go. You no longer chase pleasure or resist discomfort. You watch both rise and fall like waves. This is the real freedom. Not the absence of pain, but the absence of attachment to pain. Not the guarantee of happiness, but the capacity to remain present through every shade of human experience. And when you live like this, something else awakens. The creative force within you. Not creativity as art or craft, but creativity as existence itself. You stop waiting for life to inspire you. You become inspiration. Ideas flow not from effort, but from stillness. Action flows not from pressure, but from alignment. You realize reality is not happening to you. It is responding to you. The universe becomes a dance partner, and every step you take is choreography with the unknown. People begin to ask how you changed, what technique you used, what philosophy you follow. And you smile because there is nothing to teach, only presence to embody. Words cannot contain awakening. They can only point toward it. And while others chase techniques, you discover the only real method is awareness. The only real path is honesty. The only real teacher is silence. The only real temple is your own mind. Eventually, you reach a moment where you no longer fear the future because you no longer project yourself into it. You exist here in breath, in sensation. In now, the past becomes a story dissolved by forgiveness. The future, a canvas not yet painted. You live not with anticipation, but with attention. Life becomes vivid, textured, sacred. Not because reality changed, but because presence revealed its beauty. And slowly, life stops being a problem to solve. It becomes a mystery to experience. You stop trying to win existence. You begin to feel existence. You stop trying to be extraordinary. You realize presence itself is extraordinary. You stop trying to find your purpose. You discover that your purpose is simply to be fully alive. And in that realization, the world cannot hold you the way it used to. You are here, but you are not only here, you are human, yet you are not only human, you are form. Yet you are also the formlessness watching the form dance. You begin to move through the world like a guest and a creator at the same time. You begin to speak less, but everything you say carries weight. You begin to desire less, but everything you experience feels richer. You begin to fear less, but everything you touch feels sacred. This is not transcendence. This is fullness. This is not escape. This is embodiment. And the journey continues endlessly, beautifully, silently, not towards something, but deeper into what already is. And in that recognition comes the greatest awakening of all. You do not awaken to find the world suddenly peaceful. You awaken to find that you no longer collapse under its chaos. You rise inside it, untouched at the core. You see that life never promised calm seas, it promised that you could learn to sail. And every storm that once terrified you now becomes a wind behind your back, pushing you further into your destiny. Because sooner or later, every soul reaches a moment where running is no longer an option, where hiding, blaming, and waiting for rescue simply break apart, where the old self dies, not in tragedy, but in revelation. In that moment, you stop begging life to get easier and begin demanding that you get stronger. That is not arrogance, that is maturity, that is the silent birth of the warrior within you. You were never here to live as a frightened observer in your own life. You were here to learn to shape reality through courage, perception, and presence. You came not to worship certainty, but to dance with uncertainty like a partner, one step at a time, trusting the rhythm of existence. Do not misunderstand. Life is not asking you to pretend weakness doesn't exist. It is asking you to stop surrendering to it. It is asking you to see that fear is not the enemy, fear is the compass. Fear points to where your life is waiting to expand. Every dream you truly desire sits just beyond the line you are afraid to cross, and life whispers, cross it anyway. Because discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-love in motion. Patience is not passivity. Patience is trust in the unfolding. And surrender is not defeat. Surrender is the ultimate expression of power. The river never forces its way to the ocean. It arrives because it never stops moving. That is you. That has always been you. So breathe, slow down, let the noise of the world fall away, like dust from your spirit. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel your heartbeat, the drum of the eternal inside you. Nothing about your existence is accidental. Not a single breath, not a single pain, not a single moment of confusion. Every thread has been weaving you toward a clarity you could not see from the outside. Look back not with regret, but with reverence. Every failure taught you where your illusions hid. Every heartbreak revealed the depth of your capacity to feel. Every disappointment stripped away a layer of false identity you thought you needed. Life was not destroying you, it was sculpting you. The fire you survived was the fire that forged you. And now you stand here deeper, sharper, more awake. Not because life got easier, but because you did, because you learned that peace is not given, it is cultivated. That meaning is not discovered, it is created. That destiny is not handed to you, it is built breath by breath, choice by choice. Remember this truth. The universe never rushes, yet everything is completed. And you too are unfolding in divine timing. Do not hurry your becoming. Do not force what requires ripening. You cannot pull a flower open. You can only water it, protect it, give it light and trust. The same is true for your soul, your path, your transformation. One day, you will look around and realize the life you once chased is the life you are living. Not because you forced your way into it, but because you grew into the person who could hold it. This is the hidden law of existence. You do not receive what you want. You receive what you are prepared for, and everything you experience prepares you. So walk gently, but walk bravely. Trust deeply, but think clearly. Love fiercely, but love yourself first. For a cup that overflows is the only cup that can pour into others without running dry. You were never meant to live small, quiet, afraid of your own light. Shine anyway. Speak your truth not as a weapon, but as a beacon. Live in such a way that your very presence reminds others that they too are more than they have been taught to believe. And when doubt returns, and it will, welcome it. Doubt is the shadow cast by the light of your next evolution. Do not kill it, outgrow it, move with it. Let it teach you humility, curiosity, resilience. Let it refine your direction, not weaken your spirit. You are not here to eliminate uncertainty. You are here to rise within it. Now listen carefully, because this is the moment where the path turns from understanding to embodiment. Nothing real can be taken from you. Nothing that collapses under pressure was ever your foundation. The only true loss is abandoning yourself. Hold that truth like a flame inside you, and you will never be lost again. And when you feel tired, which you will, rest but do not quit. Rest like a warrior polishing armor, not like a fugitive hiding from battle. The world does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be authentically awake. It needs you to be the proof that a human being can fall 1,000 times and rise 1,001. Because this is not a story of escape. This is a story of arrival. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you already are, not a victim of circumstance, but a participant in creation, not a prisoner of thought, but a navigator of awareness, not a silent witness, but a conscious force in the living universe. And so the journey circles back to the beginning, not where you started, but to the truth beneath everything. You are not here to be safe. You are here to be alive. You are not here to obey the fear in your mind, but to answer the calling in your heart. You are not here to fit into this world, but to expand it. Now stand still for a moment. Feel the quiet after the storm inside you. Feel the calm that comes not from outside circumstances, but from an internal sovereignty earned through struggle and sacred doubt. Feel the deep, unshakable truth rising in your chest. You are ready. And not because life has made it easy, but because life has made you powerful. So step forward, not tomorrow, not when you feel perfectly prepared, not when the world approves. Now, walk with courage, speak with clarity, live with intention, and trust this one undeniable truth. The universe is not testing you. The universe is becoming through you. Go, become what you were always meant to be. A living answer to the question of existence, a flame that refuses to go out, a human being fully, fiercely, consciously alive.